There we go. Welcome everybody. NBA Live Before Lock. It is Sunday, August 30th. It is noon Eastern time. We've got an hour until a 3-game NBA lock is upon us. But first, we got to break down these games. I'm joined by Zach Brunner. We're going to be talking some basketball today. It's kind of a weird slate. We've got a little bit of injury news to pay attention to, including the entire Dallas Mavericks team being questionable. But we will get to that. First and foremost, Zach, what's going on?
Not much. I am excited to talk about this slate. At the very least, it seems like we should get some good basketball today, which is a nice change from huge blowouts.
Yeah, I'm excited for these games. For sure. I'm 100 times more excited for Celtics Raptors than I have been for any other games, really. Aside from, I would have been really excited for Game 5 of Mavs Clippers if Porzingis was in, but then he wasn't, and now I think that series is over. But Jazz Nuggets and Raptors Celtics should both be really fun, and whatever Luka can pull off in the middle game, I'm happy to watch it, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he did it once without Porzingis. Who knows if lightning can strike twice, but I'll watch to see if it happens.
Yeah, we're certainly going to find out. What's up to the 500-ish people that are in here already? I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you getting to the like button before I had to beg for it. So that's really nice. I'm still going to beg for it, though. Hit that thumbs up. It helps us out a ton. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. We have so much content coming out on YouTube that you don't want to miss it. So make sure you're getting the alerts. And shout out to SuperDraft for being the presenting sponsor of this show. We'll talk about them in a little bit, but I got to say, I love them nonetheless. But we'll get into SuperDraft a little bit later. Right now, I think we just have to dig into some basketball. And game 1, 1 p.m. Eastern time, Toronto Raptors, Boston Celtics. The line is tight. The last I saw was 2.5 for Toronto. I got to assume it'd be like 1.5 maybe, or even 2 if Gordon Hayward were there. These teams are close. Let's start on the Toronto side. How do you feel about Kyle Lowry and what could be a bum ankle?
I think I'm not too worried about the ankle.
Yeah.
They're gonna juice him up, do whatever they need to do. Last time Lowry played Boston, they were running him heavy until it turned into a blowout at the very end. Yeah. So I'm expecting similar workload today. I think he took a 2-minute break in the first half and he played the rest of the other 22 minutes. I don't know if he'll go that heavy. But they'll need him, especially against Kemba today. Yeah,
it's Kyle Lowry. I expect it to just be business as usual for him. I'm giving him the same run he always gets. The good thing about Toronto is their rotations are really rarely hard to decipher. So if Lowry's in, I expect him to play as much as he possibly can. That's the Toronto MO. Do you like him today? Do you prefer Van Vliet? Is it a Siakam day? What stands out to you from the Raptors?
My gut likes Van Vliet more. Of course, he's going to see that Marcus Smart coverage. Yeah. That's the part that makes me a little bit nervous. Lowry, I think, will hit value. I think he's good. I think he's great for cash games. I just don't see a huge upside for him in terms of exploding past his value. I think he's priced. Well, all three of those guys are priced pretty much exactly the same, which is interesting as well. But he seems priced about the best out of the three.
Yeah. I like Lowry a little bit more on FanDuel at 7,500. Just that's the way that the positions are breaking down. But I think these guys are all right about where they should be, particularly on DraftKings. Siakam 8,100, Lowry 7,900, Van Vliet 7,700. I have those guys all right around where their ownership is. So I don't see a lot of value to squeeze out of the top 3 from Toronto. Do you see any clear value plays for you from the Raptors?
I really like Ibaka today.
Yeah.
He's been crushing in the playoffs anyways, but he's going to face Tice, maybe Cantor. Let's hope he faces Cantor at this point. He should continue to play well, and his price, $6,200 on DraftKings. He's going to continue to smash, in my opinion. Again, I was looking at rotations from that last game, which turned into a blowout at the end. But Toronto went heavy with Marc Gasol, and I'm not exactly sure why. But if he does again, I don't like him as much on FanDuel as I do on DraftKings, where he's under 4K. But he's a value play that I'm going to have at least some exposure to.
He scares me today. He scared me a lot during the Brooklyn series because he looked terrible. But even past that, this isn't really, or at least on the surface, it doesn't strike me as a Marc Gasol series. I think he exists to face Philly, who's not there anymore. To me, I see Ibaka matching up perfectly with Daniel Tice. That's sort of who you would want out there for it. And I see Gasol as the guy that soaks up all of the minutes when Cantor is on the floor, or if they happen to go to Time Lord or something like that. So I'm with you. I think that I prefer Ibaka. The price is already up, so I don't think that there's a lot to squeeze out of. Gasol for 3,900. I think he's owned where he should. Like we've got him at 18% ownership on DraftKings. I think that's about right. So I like it. I guess I'm neutral to it. He's obviously going to benefit a ton if something happens to Serge Ibaka. The $3,900 price tag will look fantastic. I think they could pretty easily go to Siakam at the 5 in this game too, especially if they need to. I doubt that they need to, but they could.
I completely agree. And again, it should be an Ibaka series. It shouldn't be Gasol. But when they brought Tice out of the game, Boston did, that's when they brought Ibaka in last game. It made no sense. They switched him. They put Gasol on him. I don't think they would do it again, but I'm going to try to see if they do, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of hard in a game like this because I think Brad Stevens and I think Nick Nurse is the best coach in basketball. I think Brad Stevens is certainly on the short list of really good coaches at the very least. These guys are playing chess and they're going to be a lot smarter at this than I am. So trying to think that I know what they're going to do is honestly like disrespectful to them because I shouldn't be the guy that should be able to figure out their game plans. So if you're playing one or the other, is it Ibaka or Gasol? Obviously, very different salaries today.
Right. It's still Ibaka. Ibaka is one of my favorite plays on the entire slate.
Do you have a preference between OG Anunoby and Norm Powell? They're clearly getting to what they need in different ways. Do you think it's more of an OG series? Is he a guy that's going to be taking a lot of time on Jason Tatum? Or do you think Norm Powell and his scoring becomes more important in a series like this?
I would assume OG is needed more just to slow down the key players from Boston. Again, just looking at what they've done this season, OG hasn't played well against Boston, but his defense is going to be needed. His length, even if he gets matched up with Brown at times, I think they need his length on the perimeter. He should have pretty safe minutes today.
I am a fan of OG Anunoby for today. I am generally speaking a fan of OG Anunoby, but I will be over the field there. 4,700 on DraftKings, 5K on FanDuel. If I'm playing anybody from Toronto on SuperDraft, it's going to be Fred VanVleet, 1.5x multiplier. He's got the best projection out of anybody that I have on the Raptors. So I guess let's just sum up Toronto for right now. What do you like the most? Is there anything you're actively avoiding?
Unfortunately, I don't think there's anything I'm actively avoiding on Toronto. Out of the big three, I would say I like Siakam the most today, actually.
Okay.
But VanVleet has the highest ceiling, and I'll have quite a bit of exposure to all three of them, unfortunately. Like, there isn't a clear guy. There isn't anyone who should flop. They're just kind of all valued around the same.
Yeah. Speaking of value, I talked a little bit about it in our premium Slack, but given the prices of guys today and given where I expect the winning score to be on DraftKings, there's essentially not a constant in my value equation. It's like 0.5 fantasy points. You're really and truly just looking for the 8 best scorers more so than any other day. Raw points are very, very important on DraftKings. So if you can get those raw points out of some low dollar guys, being able to concentrate at the top is more valuable now than it ever was before. I really like OG on DK at 4,700 just because I can't find a ton of guys below $5,000 that stand out to me. On FanDuel, it's OG Lowry, although the ownership is already there. He's over-owned, so it's more of a cash play to me. I see VanVleet relatively neutral. Then we go to Boston. So much ownership going to their main 5 guys. It's insane. Kemba at 30% on DK. Jaylen Brown at 30. Marcus Smart and Daniel Tice both at 40. What do you like the most out of Boston?
I like Jaylen Brown and Kemba Walker, the two best. Jaylen Brown's going to continue to play a lot of minutes. I think he can score in bunches. If he gets hot, he's going to be one of the best plays of the day. And I like that he's not super chalk like these other two guys, Daniel Tice, Marcus Smart. Yeah. I don't know. I'm avoiding those two as much as I can today.
Interesting. Okay.
I understand the value involved with Tice especially, and obviously this is a much better spot for him than the last series when he had to face a big dominant post player. But I think he's fine. He doesn't excite me. I would almost rather go down to Cantor and take the chance that Cantor gets more minutes on slightly less salary, save a little bit more. And then Smart, I don't think this is a spot where Smart fills it up. I think he plays defense.
Yeah, this doesn't strike me as a big Marcus Smart offense series. I just ran my crunch. I just finally imported it. Tice is the guy that I'm getting to most. 4,300 is just tough. I think he sees an extra minute or two in this series now. This one fits him a lot better than it fit against Brooklyn. You know you're going to get a lot of Jared Allen in that scenario. And also, they didn't... Wait, am I talking about the right team? No, that's Toronto, right? Who the hell did Boston play?
Yeah, Joel Embiid.
Oh, God. Yeah, right.
76.
I knew I had it right in my head. Yeah, Tice against Joel Embiid is like a doomsday scenario. That's
right, yeah.
Now they're getting the opposite side of that. God, this series has been on my mind for so long that it's just kind of crazy. I got a lot of Kemba. Relative to public ownership, Kemba is the guy that I'm most over the field on from Boston. How are you feeling about Kemba Walker today? Like another guy that I expect to see another minute or two. I think these past couple of days off are probably going to help him out tremendously.
Completely agree, and I feel the exact same. The last two games without Hayward, I mean, he's boomed. He's been great. Yeah. He's starting to be more aggressive offensively, taking his shots, forcing his will, instead of, hopefully he gets open. He's sort of just having a little bit of Dame Lillard in him. He's firing it up, and I like that. And you're right. Obviously, coming back, he was slowly picking up his minutes. Then all of a sudden, now he's playing a ton of minutes without Hayward and everybody there. So the past couple of days, you would assume, helped his legs a little bit. And in terms of matchups, he is one of the better ones, I feel.
Who wins this game?
I think Boston does. I think it's going to be close. I think the line's about right. Okay. But I think Boston has more scorers, and that's what it's going to come down to. I think defense is going to be great in this series. It's going to be fun to watch.
I'm taking a look at the line right now. It is 2 across the board. You guys should go check out Odds Shopper. Head to Awesemo.com.
Yes.
Click on the link at the top for Odds Shopper. I'm looking at the NBA page right now, looking at Celtics Raptors. It's 2 all the way across the board. You can find better lines depending on which site you're looking for. Like for right now, Boston at the FanDuel Sportsbook, best line you could find. Toronto doesn't really have any fantastic lines, but you can get -110 at BetMGM or PointsBet. But you can see all that at OddsShopper. Great tool. I love it. It looks fantastic. It's been really helping me out in grabbing player props and betting lines for the daily work that I do in the morning for all of my prep. Any major fades for you for Boston? Are you going to get to like Brad Wanamaker, who's getting a little bit of ownership today?
I'm not getting to Wanamaker, and I think Tatum's fine. Again, his price is at a point where if I'm going to spend up, I'd rather go up to one of the Clippers guys or something like that than to spend 9.2 for Tatum. Again, I'm not a fan of Smart, so in terms of against the field, I'm fading him a lot more than the field is.
I believe I saw El Negro Loco ask me a question before if I preferred Kemba or Kyle Lowry on FanDuel. The answer would be Kyle Lowry, actually.
Oh my God. What's Kemba's salary over there?
7,800.
Yeah, compared to 75. Yeah, I think I like Lowry slightly more. Yeah, it's close. I really like both of them.
How much Cantor do Cantor do you get to in this game? We've got him at 6% ownership, or at least we did on the last run. Let me just go ahead and check and see if we have any updates since then. No, not yet. So what do you think about 6% owned on DraftKings, Enes Kanter?
I'm going to have a little more. I can see what I have him. I think I'm a little high right now. I have him at 11%. But I don't hate that either.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and he's the direct benefit. So where are you at with Tice then?
29.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. If you're going to be coming in light on Tice, you might as well pick up some shares of Kanter.
Right.
You know, those guys are negatively correlated. Anything else you want to touch on from this Boston side?
I don't think so. What's your thoughts on Jason Tatum, I guess? I shared mine, but...
Yeah, so on DraftKings, I think he's a relatively neutral play. I have him in for 39 minutes. He's projected for 16% ownership right now. I have what I would expect his ownership to be around 15%, so that is what I have. On FanDuel, it's a little bit different of a story. 9,600 at that position, I don't really love. He is 30% owned right now. And I have him significantly lower than that as a play. Jason Tatum for FanDuel feels like a bit more of a fade to me. I think it's a lot easier to pay down and find value at power forward, whether that's Michael Porter or Maxey, Marcus Morris, Tice, obviously. I don't even mind Royce O'Neal all that much if you're paying down. You have to play 2 power forwards, and we have 10-8 Kawhi on FanDuel. We have 11-4 Luka. I assume most people are going to be trying to pick between those two guys. It gets really hard to fit Tatum in after that. I think Tatum is the worst play of those three, even relative to salary. So Tatum's more of an avoid for me on FanDuel and a neutral play on DraftKings.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That is a really tough price to get to with the other studs on the slate.
Josh, all them names are trash. Guys, it's a 3-game slate in the playoffs. I can't make up additional people, unfortunately. And again, it's not about... The big piece of all of this is that these guys have salaries. If Jason Tatum was $3,000, I would clearly love him. If he was $15,000, no one would ever play him. It's about finding that middle ground. And the way that the day is set up, I think it's a lot easier for someone like Porter, Marcus Morris, Daniel Tice to hit the number that you need than it is for Jason Tatum to go for 60 plus. It's like 60 is my goal for Jason Tatum. I don't think it happens all that often. There's so many different people that can go on Boston that I just don't want to be there at that price tag. I think he's a little overpriced for today. On FanDuel, at least. Like, I agree. It's like the same person that just said that said Jalen the clear best power forward. Yeah, I mean, he's the guy you expect to score the most fantasy points. Anybody that says something different at power forward today is crazy. The problem is thinking this Boston team is a good playoff team. They're 2-point underdogs to the Toronto Raptors. What am I supposed to do here?
Boston's fine. They'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, what's this series line? Like minus 160 for the Raptors or something like that? I mean, this is a coin flip.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Do you think Boston is going to be more competitive today so that Tatum would get more minutes than Luka or Kawhi? I think they all play like relatively the same amount of minutes, or like they should all be projected to play relatively the same amount of minutes.
Sure. I understand the blowout risk in that other game.
Yeah.
But what Doc Rivers is doing with the Clippers as well, as normally if there was a point where it's a blowout and you would take his guys out, he's playing them a couple more minutes since they lost that huge lead before. He just needs to make sure they get to the next round. So I think it's slightly safer today over there.
Yeah. Like you expect Jason Tatum's minutes to be the most safe of all of them, but it's really difficult to go into one of these games and think like, oh, I'm going to put Luka at 31. Well, then you're going to get 0% Luka Doncic. Like these guys all have to be in the 38 to 40 range. I don't think it's up for debate, really. If you're playing on SuperDraft, Kemba Walker is the Boston representative you're looking for, 1.55x multiplier, or Jason Tatum at 1.2x. Comes in a little bit behind Kemba for me, but I'm happy to get to both guys. Let's slide on over to that Dallas Mavericks Los Angeles Clippers game. But before we do, you guys know where I'm going with this. 1,525 people in here right now, 230 likes. We're behind on the ratio we're looking for. We've had a ton of people come in since I first asked, so I have to go back to it again. Please, please, please hit that thumbs up. Let's at least get that number north of 300. That should be the goal right now. I appreciate it a ton. Now we can dig in to the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Clippers. Clippers are monster favorites, double digits. I expect this to be the end of the Mavs. Kristaps Porzingis is done, torn meniscus. Luka Doncic is hobbled, questionable. I expect him to play. Tim Hardaway, questionable. I expect him to play. I expect everybody to play for Dallas that hasn't already been ruled out. Do you have any other take to the Mavs for today?
Nope. No, I would assume all of them play. Okay. Yeah, even if they were slightly questionable before, I'm sure the extra couple days definitely helped. They should be fine.
Okay. Well, then let's just start at the top. 11-4 on FanDuel, 11-2 on DraftKings. No multiplier whatsoever on SuperDraft. That would be Luka Doncic. 38% owned on FanDuel, 37 on DK. I think he's going over owned. How are you managing Luka today? Is he your pay up for today?
He's not my pay up for today, but I understand the ownership. Obviously, we saw him before almost get 100 DFS points. So it makes sense to pay up for him if you're trying to win that top GPP win. You want him because if there's no one with a higher ceiling than Luka, obviously. But yeah, especially if Beverly comes back today, I think they need to rely on other people besides just Luka if they have any chance to win the game.
Yeah, we will.
So he's a little over.
We'll get to that Beverly piece in a bit. My worry in this game is that Luka's raw point ceiling is the most important thing that we have here. I think that I'm going to end up getting to him, and I never expected to get to him when my day started. I just thought he was going to be priced out for me, and I was going to see a lot more Kawhi Leonard. As of right now, I have a lot of Luka Doncic, and that's running opposite to what I was expecting. Now on FanDuel, I think it's different because of the position. It's a lot trickier, in my opinion, to get to Luka when you have Mitchell and Paul George, Van Vliet, Marcus Smart. There's enough places to save knowing that you have to have two shooting guards to go to someone like Kawhi or paying up for Jokic at center. So I get it there. But on DK, I'm Team Luka, and I didn't expect it. I'm also Team Trey Burke pretty aggressively. The public is as well. Seth Curry, who's been playing phenomenally in this series, at least from a plus-minus perspective. And then Maxey. Those are the four guys I'm getting to most from Dallas. What's your favorite thing coming out of Dallas?
I'm not overly excited about anything on Dallas.
No.
I am getting to a decent amount of Luka, but I think it's Maxey is my favorite play on Dallas overall. He would have played a lot more if the game was somewhat close last time, so taking a chance that Luka pulls some kind of rabbit out of his hat and keeps it somewhat close going into the fourth quarter, I think he's the safest out of the rest of the guys.
Yeah.
I'm not really looking to win my tournament with the Mavericks, though, if that makes sense.
Not a Trae Young believer. Yeah, Trae Young. Oh, my God. Not a Trey. They would give anything to have Trae Young. Not a Trey Burke believer for today?
I'm not, no. Okay. I think he splits the difference between his last couple games. People are kind of hoping he gets that 30-plus point DFS game again today. And I think out of all of the Mavericks that are questionable, I think he's probably the most hurt out of them. Mm-hmm. Besides maybe Luka, but I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't count.
Yeah,
he's getting the Lance Harbor injection into the ankle for today, and he's just going to get out there.
He's feeling nothing. But yeah, I think Perk's fine. He needs to hit his shots is the problem. Yeah. If he doesn't hit his shots, I don't think he's anything. So no. I would rather fade him relative to the public.
It's weird. I was getting just shockingly dumb amounts of Trey Burke on my first run, like a lot, 80, 90%. Like, whoa, all right, I need to look at this. Because I actually had him at less minutes than Alex had. So that's when I was just like, all right, if I'm getting him this much at a reduced rate, something might be off here. He has 0 assist rate so far in this playoff series. It's like 1 point something percent, the basketball reference version of assist rate. It's just non-existent. So when I back down the fact that he appears to only be trying to score, I was able to also back down getting all of the Trey Burke today, thank God. I had all of the Trey Burke whenever Game 5 was, which got bailed out late. I'll take it. Is it Boban season today? 20% owned on DraftKings right now.
I think you can definitely take a chance, especially at that price. But last time he got most of his playing time, I believe, when it was a blowout, unfortunately. I can check that. But he's worth it. Obviously, we know he doesn't need a lot of minutes to do what he does. Yeah, he played most of the fourth quarter. He played almost nothing in the first half.
Yeah. I expect him to play every minute that Maxey doesn't play center. And they're going to want Maxey to play center as many minutes as they possibly can. At least that's what they tried to do in Game 5. So I gave Boban 13 minutes. I gave Maxey 35. Every minute that Maxey doesn't play in that group of 35 means it's probably going to Boban. I don't pretty much. I'm not a Boban guy for today, but I rarely am. I don't have any, and he's 20% owned. I'll die on that one for sure.
If he goes off, then again, it's one of those things where it'll be fun to watch Boban destroy the Clippers. Then,
no doubt. So on FanDuel, just a hit for everybody. Favorite plays relative to ownership. Probably Seth Curry at 4,600. And Trey Burke's ownership is already there, but probably a solid cash option on FanDuel if you need to go that way. Only guy I'm taking from Dallas, or at least trying to take from Dallas on SuperDraft, would be Luka Doncic. And then we slide on over to the LA Clippers. Let's start here. Do you expect Pat Beverly to play?
I think so. I don't think he plays his normal share of minutes, but I think he is going to suit up.
I have him in. I gave him 20 minutes. I think that Landry Shamet is probably the guy that is most impacted by Beverly being in the lineup. Reggie Jackson as well, I think, takes a pretty big haircut. So it looks like we're on the same page for the way that we see Beverly being used. Does that put him in play, though, at 3,500? He is 33% owned right now.
I don't think he's worth that high of ownership, but he's definitely in play at that price. And then if he gets ruled out, I think he's a pretty easy pivot to Shamet, hopefully, if you have a little bit of extra money. Because if he's out, I definitely like Shamet.
We actually just got an ownership update 5 minutes ago. So let me refresh my sheet and make sure we're not missing any craziness. Marcus Smart now, the most owned player on DraftKings. Not just from Boston, but from everybody. Quite a bit ahead of Daniel Tice. Nikola Jokic, who we will get to, coming in third. Okay, so now that I have new exposures, let's refresh and see where we end up. That's a lot of Luka Doncic. Whew. I can only be if I'm going to have a lot of somebody, I'd happily take a lot of the guy that I want to play the most. So, I would love to watch it happen. It'll be incredibly satisfying. So I love the Clippers today. And I really love both of their centers. One, am I crazy? Two, do you have a preference between the two?
I would still rather play Zubac, but we saw Harrell finally look like himself last time.
Yeah.
He got that garbage time and played well. And then he got the extra rest if anything bad happened to him, if he was tired after getting extended minutes. So he should be fresh, ready to go. And I would assume they give him the extended run again today.
I like them both a lot.
Yeah, I like them.
We have Zubac at 18%. We have Montrezl Harrell at 14%. I have many multiples of both guys. I don't know how to get away from them. Together, they are $9,000 in salary on DraftKings. So I need 60 points in the aggregate from them. I don't see that as particularly tough to get to. I mean, it's tough to get to for anybody, but Zubac is a 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy. Montrezl Harrell hasn't been that in the bubble, but is normally like a 1.15 fantasy point per minute guy. These guys can fill up the stat sheet when they're out on the floor. And I think this is a fantastic spot for Harrell. Dallas is so thin in the front court. His energy could play. I mean, he could have 8 points and 8 rebounds in like 3 minutes just from having the biggest motor on the floor at the time. And every day that he gets off, that he could just sort of try to get himself back into game shape, I think is massive. Just cardio for days around the Disney campus.
Exactly. Hopefully his minutes just keep trending up and his salary stays low.
Paul George or Kawhi Leonard, who's your guy today?
Definitely Kawhi. Maybe pandemic peak and do it twice in a row, but I'm not going to bet on it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. If you liked him last game, which I did, why do I like him less this game at pretty much the exact same salary?
Actually,
I just don't think he has that usage again.
We're on the same page here. I liked him for the first 5 games of this series a lot. This is actually a spot now where I have a little bit less than the field. Pretty neutral on Kawhi. Happy to get whatever I get out of him. But I'm taking the stand on Luka for today, so that should be fun. Most of my exposure is going to Zubac, Harrell, and I'm going to roll the dice on probably too much Patrick Beverley, but there aren't that many places that I can get salary relief, and he appears to be one of them. It scares me.
Yeah, not much value on this slate.
It really scares me. I actually think that I probably have a hair too much, so I'm going to walk that back. Is there anything else you want to touch on from the Clippers side? Marcus Morris, Lou Williams, anybody standing out to you?
I don't really like Morris as much if we like Harrell. I think those minutes kind of, if Morris goes down, Harrell goes up. And Lou is same type of thing, just with usage. If his usage will go down if Harrell's goes up. But just to touch on Kawhi Leonard again, with the blowout risk, he's pretty much still just priced at his floor.
Yeah.
So if the game is close, then he'll exceed. If it's not, he's gotten over 50 DFS points every game. So I think he's fine.
That's going to be a fun. Can Dallas win this game?
Anything can happen. It's the bubble. That's what I've been saying. So I hope so.
So do I.
I don't think so,
no.
but
yeah, I think it's over. I think this ends it now. I think that'll be it for the Dallas Mavericks today, which is a bummer.
Unfortunately, I think
it's a bummer. Yeah, it's a bummer. What are you gonna do, guys? We got 2 games down. We got 1 more to go, and then we can start diving into a ton of questions. Almost 1,700 people. I didn't even have to beg again. We're at 399 likes. Clearly, I need 1 more to 400, but I think we all know what we're looking for now, and that would be 500 likes. That is just the ultimate in what we're looking for. So please hit that thumbs up. The more likes we get, the more that our presenting sponsor, SuperDraft, loves us. They are the future of daily fantasy. And the best part is that you could roster whoever you want. If you want to roster Luka, Kawhi, Paul George, Nikola Jokic, everybody you want from Boston, you can take all of those studs and you don't have to worry about that lineup construction. You just have to pay attention to their multipliers. Like Kawhi Leonard, for instance, 1.25x today. He is without question the top super draft play. Paul George, 1.4x. Love it. Or you can take Luka with no multiplier whatsoever. They've got contests for basketball, MLB, PGA, NASCAR, MMA. The NFL is going to be here super soon. SuperDraft has contests for that as well. Use the promo code Awesemo10, AWESEMO10. Get yourself $10 on your first $10 deposit or more. Get yourself $20 on your first deposit of $100 or more. You can go to their website, superdraft.io, or go to any app store, download the app. There are no limits, just more winning. That's SuperDraft. Love those guys. Oh, we're already at 504 likes. Guys,
nice.
The begging is gonna get real bad at like 12:45. Just you might want to get it out of the way now and hit that thumbs up if you haven't, because I'm just gonna be even more insufferable than usual. We're moving it along. 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Utah Jazz, Denver Nuggets. Don't like how late that is, but whatever. We'll deal with it.
Right.
Jazz 2.5-point favorites, I believe. Trying to close out the Nugs. Let's start on the Utah side. Who is your favorite play from the Utah Jazz?
My favorite play, I think, is going to be Mike Conley yet again. He's, at least we're talking DraftKings. FanDuel, I do like Donovan Mitchell. Yeah. The pricing difference on Mitchell's continues to be crazy. Almost 2,000 less on FanDuel versus DraftKings. But Mike Conley's been on fire since coming back. He's shooting at a pretty nice rate. Yeah. And if Mitchell keeps going off, then he's going to rack up assists too. It's a lot of two-man game, either between him and Mitchell or him and Gobert, and the Nuggets can't defend any of it. So I'm okay with that.
Right now, I'm not really loving the pricing on anything from Utah. I don't have like a big stand on anybody. I'm sort of just like holding hands with the field on Gobert, Conley, Ingles. 9,700 Donovan Mitchell is a real tough sell for me on DraftKings, so I am just not there. The guy that I'm most under the field on DK is actually Royce O'Neal, which doesn't break my heart all that much when he's 4,600 and Conley's back.
Yeah.
I'm mostly getting to the Denver side. Not as much Jokic as the public. Luka is sort of soaking up all of that additional upper tier. Jamal Murray has been out of his mind in this series. He's not turning the ball over at all. He's been dominating the ball from a usage perspective. Just a really, really nice series for him. He's a guy that I want to have shares to. I like the idea of Michael Porter at 5,500. I really like the idea of Jeremy Grant at 4,800. I'm not taking Paul Millsap today, so I feel like going to the Paul Millsap anonymous meetings have really helped me out over this past week and a half. Today will probably be the day that he gets extra minutes and makes me hate myself, but today's not the day that I'm on him. We need to talk about I don't want to say elephant because, well, it's Gary Harris, but
yeah,
Gary Harris is trying to play today. I'm expecting him to see the floor. I don't think that he's going to be playing, 36 minutes or anything like that. Somewhere in that 20-ish range seems pretty reasonable. Do you think Gary Harris matters today? Do you think he takes enough from someone else that he's off the board for you?
I don't think he takes enough from someone else, but I don't think he gets enough where I want to play him either. I think 20 minutes is optimistic for him. If he plays 15, I think Nuggets would be very happy with that. Again, he's going to come in and shoot.
Yeah.
And maybe that means a little bit more assists for Jokic and Murray, but it also means slightly less usage. It just makes me less excited about Jokic in particular. I'm more in line with Jokic with the public. I'm still over for Murray just because of what he's been doing. I'm just going to ride him and just hopefully he keeps firing up 25 shots a game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I expect
I don't love
to.
Porter, I guess.
He's the trickiest piece of this for me. I like him more than I want to. I definitely set rules that I'll only get max 2 of 3 for Porter, Millsap, Grant. You just never really know with him because he could play himself fully off the floor defensively or play himself right back on it offensively. I thought it was telling that he played what amounts to the entire fourth quarter. They brought him in the middle of the third in Game 5, and he never left the floor again. That was also a great run for PJ Dozier, who I don't think sees that same sort of run. I think they're pretty happy with it, but I assume Dozier is the guy that is immediately chomped out of this rotation. Or not necessarily that he doesn't see the floor, but Gary Harris is going to slide into the PJ Dozier role. I can pretty much guarantee that one.
Yeah, that and Torrey Craig will get a few less minutes as well.
Yep.
Those random guys that you weren't really going to play anyway.
Yeah. So Denver is my team for today in this game. Utah, I'm lighter than I really want to be. But I never really know where to go. Like I set a rule for max 2 of Mitchell, Conley, Clarkson, just because if 2 of those guys get cooking, it's really hard to distribute the usage to a third guy in that scenario. If you're playing on SuperDraft, Donovan Mitchell, 1.45x multiplier. Jokic and Murray, my other two guys from Denver, 1.3x on Jokic, 1.5 on Murray. Anything you want to touch on here then, Denver or Utah?
This is the least excited about playing Denver I think I've been in the entire series just because of that Gary Harris news. I wish it wasn't the last game of the day.
I wish it wasn't 5 hours after the tip-off of the second game either.
Right. I do think if Porter struggles defensively at least a little bit and Harris plays today, they just don't need Porter's offense as much now that they have Harris there. So that makes me think he's slightly riskier.
Okay.
Even though obviously different positions, but he's in for offense and offensive loan, obviously. And if they can get another offensive player back, then he can get rotated out.
Man, that makes me really nervous. Gary Harris was really bad this year. Non-existent offensively. Huge haircut in usage this season compared to his previous norm. I don't know if that he just got in his own head. I see this as a spot where Gary Harris does not try to be involved offensively in his first return, unless they just try to get him going early. But they need him to be good, they are nothing. Mm-hmm. They are he has to come back and be a legitimate defensive force and be able to hit an open three, or it really doesn't matter that he's back.
Completely agree.
18 minutes to go before lock. So if you don't have your lineups in, start at least getting that dummy crunch ready, or make sure that whatever you have in right now is a legitimate lineup. You don't want to leave yourself hanging with a crap dummy lineup now. So at least get yourself something functional. We've got 18 minutes, so we could start taking questions. YouTube chat, feel free to drop some questions in chat. Premium Slack, feel free to drop your questions in. Starting five for the Celtics, exactly what you would expect. Kemba, Smart, Brown, Tatum, Tice, Raptors, Lowry, Van Vliet, Anunoby, Siakam, and Gasol. A little surprising. I don't want to say surprising. I expected Gasol to start. I'm anxious to see how long his first rotation goes.
Yeah, I do too. Like we said, you would think it's an Ibaka day, but you never really know.
Yeah. I'm anxious to see how Kemba looks with Gasol on the floor. Questions coming in fast and furious. How much Ibaka did I crunch? I have Ibaka on DraftKings in 0% of my lineups. How much Ibaka do you have?
You have 0% of Ibaka?
On DK, yeah.
Huh. I have him at 30.
Whew. That's a big number.
Yeah.
How many minutes do you think he plays?
It is. I think he can get up to a little over 30 minutes today. I think it's possible.
Do you think that he's playing alongside Gasol at all?
If he does, I would assume then Siakam's in foul trouble.
Okay.
I think that's the only way that happens.
Pedrito, rank the point guards on FanDuel. I'll go Trey Burke, Lou Will, Kyle Lowry, Jamal Murray. Those would be my top four. Do you have any thoughts to point guard on FanDuel?
I would switch Lowry and Lou Will. I'm less high on Williams today.
Okay. Ingles or Clarkson? I don't know which site.
True.
I'm gonna assume it's DraftKings since they're different positions, but they're the same price on FanDuel. Either way, on FanDuel it's Ingles. That much I know. On DraftKings, all right, there's Clarkson and Ingles. On DraftKings it's Ingles, so it's Ingles on both sites for me.
On DraftKings, I'd lean Clarkson.
I have them as relatively close. They're not separated by all that much, so it's not more of a coin flip than anything else. Build around Jokic or build around Murray on FanDuel? So I run a metric to see how often someone is either top 2 at their position for point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward on FanDuel, or top 1 for center. And I have Murray at 26% on FanDuel, and I have Jokic at 26.9%. So both, build around both. It's a coin flip. It's a true, literal coin flip. I can't separate those two guys on FanDuel today.
Complete coin flip. Obviously, Murray's been crazy. So if you want to ride the hot hand, hope he keeps momentum going.
We have 1,650 people in here right now and 555 likes. I love you guys. This is quite the bonus for doing content on a Sunday, is seeing such a huge crowd show up and hit that thumbs up. So thank you guys for being a part of the show. It's awesome to be able to do this. Top centers on FanDuel. To me, that's an easy one. I don't think that there are all that many options. If I were playing FanDuel today, caveat, I am not. But if I were, Jokic, Gobert, and Zubac are basically the only guys that I would have. If Montrezl Harrell has no ownership like he currently does, I don't mind having a couple additional shares of him. He just happens to be more expensive than Zubac, and that's kind of crazy. But those are the only 3 guys that I'm really interested in. Do you have any takes on anybody else from FanDuel?
I would get very slight amount of Cantor, but that's it.
That's fair. Best value play on DraftKings. Whew. I don't know how far down we want to go from a value perspective. Yeah. Like the answer is Daniel Tice. He's $4,300. That's about as value-y as you can get on a 3-gamer in the playoffs, and the ownership is already there. I feel like the question is like, who's below 4K that is your favorite value play? So do you have a sub 4K guy on DraftKings that you're getting more than you would expect?
Not more than I expect, but again, same answer. Cantor and Gasol.
Yeah.
They're both under 4K. I don't love either, but there's a road to being a great value for both of them.
Beverly, if he is in, Gasol would be my next best guess here. All right, what else do we have here? Ooh, super chat from Mark Pearson. Thank you, Mark. Tice or Cantor, Hardaway or Lou Will, both on DraftKings. I mean, that gets really difficult. The Tice v. Cantor question is almost fully dependent on what's in the rest of your lineup.
Right. If you're only switching those 2 guys, then I would like Tice more.
Yeah.
But if you can get to somebody else, I'm very okay with going Cantor.
Yeah, that one just needs more context. There's not a person on this planet that could, like, just in a vacuum, like Cantor more than Tice for this game. There's a reason that one of them's at 34% ownership and the other is at 6. Like, that just Tice has to be the answer. But if your lineup is already chalky, then switching him to Cantor is perfect. Now, Lou Will Hardaway is a question that, like, we can sort of get to a little bit easier. Those guys are not, like, mutually exclusive to each other. I have Lou Will as a 12% guy. I am underweight. I have Hardaway. I have Hardaway a bit ahead of Lou Will today, so I would take Hardaway over Lou Williams.
Yeah, same here. I don't like either a ton, but I definitely like Hardaway more than Lou Williams.
Yeah, they're not separated by much, so that one's more of a coin flip for me. Let's see what else we got. Anything else coming in chat? Premium Slack, where y'all at? You guys don't shut up all day, and then the one moment that we're trying to get actual questions to help you, it's a ghost town. Incredible. If it was 8 o'clock in the morning, there'd be 25 people in here arguing with each other, but 12, everybody's trying to put their lineups in. They don't want to hear me talk. Here comes blah 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 are typing in premium Slack. So here it comes. We need some SuperDraft advice. Hunter, I completely agree. Here are my favorite SuperDraft plays for today. I think that's what you're looking for. So, numero uno, Kawhi Leonard. Jamal Murray, 2. Nikola Jokic, 3. Donovan Mitchell, 4. Luka Doncic, 5. I'll give Kemba at 6. Paul George at 7. All 7 of those guys I have at 60 SuperDraft points or higher. Those are my top 7 guys. And you should be playing at SuperDraft. SuperDraft. SuperDraft.io. Use the promo code Awesemo10. We're waiting to tilt. That's what I'm being told. Important groups. Do you have any groups that you find to be essential for today?
Not on a slate like today, to be completely honest. I don't want to get too much Utah, I guess.
Okay.
But besides that, it's just one of those weird slates where, yeah, I keep finding myself spending up on a couple guys that I don't necessarily want to spend all the way up on. That's Luka and Kawhi. I'm getting a lot of ownership on them.
Okay.
And it's kind of throwing me for a loop for everything else right now.
I don't think this is going to help anybody in the next 8 minutes, but I'm going to go really quickly. I have 10 groups set today. Max 2, Walker, Brown, Tatum. At most 1, Boban and Maxey. At most 2, Trey Burke, Seth Curry, Dorian Finney-Smith. At most 2, Jokic, Murray, Porter. At most 2, Millsap, Grant, Porter. At most 2, Leonard, Lou Will, Paul George. At most 2, Marcus Morris, JaMychal Green, Zubac, Harrell. At most 2, Lowry, Van Vliet, Siakam. At most 2, Conley, Clarkson, Mitchell. At most 2, Ingles, Royce O'Neal, Clarkson. Those are my rules for today. I hope that matters to somebody for the last 7 minutes. Paul George, okay to play in cash on DraftKings. Let me look at his ownership. I feel like he's a little light for cash today. But let me see. We have Paul George at 28% ownership. That's 8th. Yes, Paul George is more than okay for cash today. Couldn't remember what his salary was for a second. But no, I have no issue getting to Paul George in cash. Do you?
No issue.
Okay.
Salary stayed the same.
What else do we have here? Top cash play at point guard, shooting guard, small forward to build around. I'm assuming that's a FanDuel question, so I'm going to answer it as such. Top cash play on FanDuel. To me, it's Trey Burke. Kyle Lowry's probably a close second. At shooting guard, it's Paul George or Marcus Smart, probably both. Small forward would be Jaylen Brown and probably Jeremy Grant at 4,800.
I'm less high on Grant today for whatever reason, but yeah, that salary's tough to get around on FanDuel.
Yeah, I've got him in for, I think, 36 minutes. He seems to be the guy that is like most likely to soak it up. So that's what's getting me there. Thoughts on 60% Murray, 98% Jaylen Brown over 60 lineups on DraftKings? It's a lot of Jaylen Brown.
Yes, it is.
That's a thought.
Wow.
I would not want 90% Jaylen Brown today. 98% Jaylen Brown, I might add. That is not something that I would advocate for.
No, while he should get a ton of run, I wouldn't advocate for that much of anybody just because they could get a foul trouble in any point. So, yeah.
I have Jaylen Brown as my 19th best play on DraftKings today, relative to salary. I don't advocate for 98%. Sorry, Iron Mike V. Let's see. All right, heading back over to YouTube chat. Powell or Smart on FanDuel? That's basically an impossible question to answer. I need to know how chalky the rest of that lineup is. If you're running a pure cash lineup, then actually, no, I don't think it matters. The answer is just Marcus Smart. Never mind.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I mean, I have Marcus Smart 48% to be a top 2 shooting guard. I have Norm Powell at 11. So I don't think that ownership is probably going to matter for me. 4 minutes to go, guys. Get your lineups in now, because if you don't, they don't let you put them in after 1 o'clock. It's funny. You're not allowed to do that after lock unless you only use the teams that haven't started yet. So don't put yourself behind the 8 ball. Get your lineups in before 1 p.m. Eastern time. And since we have 621 likes, we still have 1,400 people. I feel bad even asking. But if we can get to 700, that'd be really, really cool. I don't think I've seen 700 on a stream before. Not while I'm live. I'm not even going to be mad if it doesn't happen, because I appreciate you guys so much. All right, here we go. FanDuel, Smart and Van Vliet, or Mitchell and Clarkson?
I think I would do Mitchell and Clarkson. Yeah.
That is basically the exact same combination for me. I have Marcus Smart and Donovan Mitchell as comparable plays, and I have Van Vliet and Clarkson as comparable plays. Van Vliet and Clarkson will probably be a more unique combination in a GPP. So if you're in something large field, that would be a direction I would want to go. Ooh, Thomas Norris. Who is my number 1 contender for today? I don't know. Let me look. Number 1 contender for today is Daniel Tice. I don't get the sense that that'll be all that shocking. Contenders video doesn't take into account ownership. This is just who is the raw best. So, Daniel Tice. Daniel Tice is number 1 on DK. Marcus Smart, number 1 on FanDuel. DeLon Wright or Landry Shamet, punt GPP. Neither. I mean, Shamet's the only one that has a chance if Beverly is out.
Yeah, and DeLon Wright, he got minutes last game because they were down by 40 points. Yeah. So you're kind of hoping for the same thing if you play him.
Yeah, DeLon Wright had a rotation in the second quarter for 4 minutes. Then he came in the third quarter while they were down by 20, and then never left the floor because Justin Jackson, Josh Reeves, and Antonius Cleveland got in the fourth quarter. So maybe don't read into the DeLon Wright minutes all that much. It's just really hard for him to be on the floor when, if Luka's going to be on the floor for 40 minutes, DeLon Wright becomes not the guy that you want to have the ball in his hands, unfortunately. He's good. He's just he's a really bad fit for that team.
Yeah.
2 more minutes, guys. Get those lineups in. We have 1 more minute, actually. 55 seconds. Zach, anything you want to hit on to close this out? Your final summed up thoughts. What do you want the most to happen for your fantasy life today?
For my fantasy life, I would love for the Mavericks to win, and I would love for the Nuggets to win. I have a decent amount of Denver exposure, and if they can both extend their series for my DFS life and just my fandom, I would like for both to do that.
Go Luka Doncic. That man will make or break me today. Yeah. Go Zubac. Go Daniel Tice. Those are the 3 most important names I will have today. Let's see. What do I need out of those 3? The goal out of those 3, that's $20,100 in salary. We'll call it 6.6. I need 132 DK points out of Doncic, Zubac, and Tice. That's the goal. Fingers crossed.
Doable.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Final super chat. We are at lock. It's 1 p.m. Zach Gerhardt, thank you for getting this super chat in. I don't know how much this is going to help you moving forward, but the question is, Millsap or Grant? And for the first time in what seems like forever, I can confidently say my answer is not Paul Millsap. It is Jeremy Grant, which means watch out for Paul Millsap. Zach, who is your pick here, Millsap or Grant?
Grant. I don't need to play Millsap ever again if I can help it.
Yeah, I hear you there. Well, that is it, guys. thank you for joining us. If you haven't yet, hit the thumbs up on your way out the door. We had 1,600 people and 650 likes, so you guys are the best. I couldn't ask for anything more. Best fans in the biz. We appreciate it. Thank you to SuperDraft for being the presenting sponsor. Keep a close eye on the news. Check out El Negro Loco's news blog. He'll be hitting you or be in our premium Slack so that you can get those updates immediately just in case, say, Pat Bev ends up in or out. You want to get that information, we've got it in Slack at a moment's notice. And then we'll be back tomorrow, back like a normal day, Monday, starting the week off right. Zach, any closing thoughts? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, if you are a fantasy football player, I am in a charity league this year called Pros with Joe's Charity Fantasy League. And obviously you guys are interested in Awesemo. If you bid in a raffle to be a co-owner of a team with me against other fantasy experts in the industry, I'm giving away 2 platinum Awesemo monthly subscriptions for random bidders. Otherwise, we're going to beat other people from ESPN and stuff like that in this league. So
awesome.
Bid on that. You can go to my Twitter and find a link to that.
That's awesome. Check that out, guys. At Fantasy Flurry. You can see it underneath both of our heads. Both of our Twitter handles are there. So go check that out. Thank you for joining us. Best of luck on this slate. I'll see you again tomorrow. Good luck.